He's a stepbrother of Josh's from one of Skip's previous marriages. So, and I'd like to say thank you very much to Tina, the high priestess, and you've been a lot of help, especially with these beautiful bulletins here. And thank you to everyone, okay? So, let's start with the eulogy. Joshua Adam Blesi was born September 8, 1974 at North Memorial Hospital at 1:52 a.m., weighing in at 7 pounds, 1.5 ounces, and 21.5 inches long. So, I can say I was a bigger baby. He went to Corcoran schools after his dad and his mom divorced, and he had a lot of fun in Corcoran. He used to tell me about one time when he and his brother Ben went outside and got covered in mud and came back, and Mom was saying, "Oh no, I'm not having that. You guys go clean up." So, in high school, Joshua went to Park Center High and graduated June 6 of '93. But in 1992, I believe it was 92, help me out with this, he led a protest against the First Gulf War, and he walked out of class, which prompted more people to walk out of class.
You know that?
Yeah. Now you know. After a short time being known as Joshua Thunders, he changed his name back to Joshua Blesi in '02. He had his reasons for changing it to Thunder, and I'm not going to dwell on that. That was in the past. That's where it needs to stay. At 8 years old, he had an experience. He was upset, and they had a cornfield behind their trailer park. And he went out there, still very upset, and decided, because he had spent so much energy, he needed to lay down and have a snooze. He laid down underneath a willow tree. And when he woke up, he had bunnies surrounding him. And that really shaped his outlook, because he knew that he was part of the earth at that time. As a teenager, and Skip will attest to this one, Joshua took out a little bit of anger on a grove of mostly dead trees, and he was pushing them over. He was so upset. Now, Joshua worked in several fast food places, and he also worked as a day laborer as needed. After being promoted to manager at one store, he gave it up to be a city bus driver. As a bus driver, he earned commendations and safety awards. He was well liked by his regulars on the bus. In 2014, he and I left bus driving behind in Minnesota, moved to Clearwater, Florida, and he became a cashier at one of the local Walmarts. He used to say that Florida was the biggest challenge he ever had to face. And did suffer from it. I couldn't tell you how many times he and I would sit out on our back stoop, and he would say, I miss my Minnesota family. I miss the covenant. I miss family. In 2016, he moved back to Minnesota and became a driver for a food delivery place. In 2020, as the pandemic raged, Josh started a podcast known as The Josh Show. He had a lot of fun and did that for, how many seasons was it? 4 or 5 seasons. And he would bring people on, interview them, and just have fun with them. Now, the Josh Show morphed into the Unknown Prophet Tarot readings on Twitch.tv. Many of you know that he created his own deck called the 5 Paths Tarot. And he used that deck to give tarot readings to people. Oh, there's one young man who's from Bulgaria living in Italy that, as he calls it, it is, he saw Josh as a surrogate father. Somebody that he can discuss his problems with. Josh wasn't just a tarot reader. He was a life coach. And the deck that he created, amongst some of the cards, was one for Skip, one was for me, one was for him, one was for his mom, one was for his brother. And he could tell stories about each of the cards and how they would impact a person. And he did it very well. He got very popular very quickly. He called his readings ethereal fire because he had been through the fire and had come out with a few burns, you know, like this. He brushed them off. In 2021, his health declined to the point that he had sepsis of the spinal canal, and he had an infection in his PICC line. I remember calling Skip in tears, saying, I'm not ready to lose him yet. Because the doctor said, this is life-threatening. If the sepsis goes up the spinal canal and goes to the brain, he's dead. When his PICC line got infected, the PICC line goes right to the heart. When that got infected, he could have gotten an infection of the heart that would have killed him. But it didn't kill him. It made him stronger, made him more determined. A month after turning 50, to the day, he had a silent heart attack that led to his stroke. Luckily, I was talking to him when he had that stroke. And being a stroke survivor myself, I recognized what was going on and put him through a couple of weight tests. Then I called 911. His doctor said if I hadn't recognized things, his outcome would have been a lot worse. I was grateful that, yes, he had a little bit of problems finding words. But he was coming back around for that. You know, he was recovering. The doctors said, we don't want you lifting 5 pounds. And I said, that means you cannot even hand me my leg if need be, let alone take the cat and hold him. He couldn't even pick up our cat. But he said, well, if something happens when I'm picking up the cat, so be it. I'm going to show love to the cat. Now, after that stroke, they had done some blood work, which showed that he had a malformed heart. An artery on the outside, not one going in, but on the outside, that kept blood flow to the heart so it was working properly. One of those arteries was 100% blocked, and that artery was malformed. Instead of going straight down, it took the curve and decided it wanted to go around the heart. Oh, come here. And because of that, his cardiologist put him on medication that was supposed to help bust up that blockage. Ultimately, he passed away December 6, 2024, of a heart attack. I found him in his chair. Come on in, Margaret. He had a massive heart attack, and when I found him, his face, there was not pain showing. He wasn't scared, you know, no look of terror, which tells me it happened so fast that he just looked like he fell asleep in his computer chair. He always said he wanted to go in his sleep. And yes, there were lots of times he would fall asleep in his computer chair. Yeah. He spent so much time there and built up a sense of community. And just so you know, I am recording this so that if anybody would like a copy of it, I can send you a copy of this service. Some of my favorite memories of Josh were of him being a complete goofball. And he loved being a goofball. He said, I don't feel my age. He said, I might look it, but I don't feel it. And isn't that the secret? Never feel your age. One of my other memories that terrified him. We were up at Gooseberry Falls, and we were visiting his folks that lived in Silver Bay. And I was standing on a cliff next to a visitor center. And I was looking down, literally like this, and seeing, you know, the beauty of the earth before me. And I was standing there, and I kept on saying, Josh, come here, you gotta see this, Josh, come here. He's terrified of heights. And he said, Beth, get over here. I said, no, you need to come and check this out. He said, I'm not going anywhere over there. He says that I don't want to have to try to catch you if you fall. I said, come on, I'm not going to fall. Don't worry about that. Some of my favorite times were when he was in service to other people. I mentioned the Bulgarian man. He has helped so many others in the UK, in Ireland, in Bulgaria, in Australia. He has touched so many people. And especially he has touched every one of us in here. Some of us have known him a lot longer. Some not as long. But everybody that knows him knows what kind of a kind and gentle man he was. And all he wanted was to be a man of service, to help others. That's all he ever wanted. And with that, I would like to open up the floor to anybody else that would like to come up and share favorite memories, anything. Something that made you laugh, stuff that made you shake your head, anything. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Come. Papa Bear?
Papa Bear.
Yeah. He's a big guy.
Yes, he was.
Huge guy. And I don't know how they put him in that little box, but wherever we got him, he did fit. But, yeah, he had a big heart, a huge heart. You know, one time we were up on the lake where Sean's family has a cabin. And we both caught a nice sized bass. He caught a little bigger than mine. He's never caught a fish that big, and he would say, oh wow, you know, I mean, you were, you know, he's rocking that boat, he was so excited, you know. It's funny. Enjoy the moment, you know. Don't miss him. Hello.
Yeah.
And that said it all, you know. Thank you.
You know, I have a lot of really good memories of Joshua. We were in I know not all of you here are from a group that he belonged to, which was the Standing Stones. He may have spoken to you of that group, but that's the group that I know him through. And the memories that I have of him are intertwined with my experiences in the group. We had done many types of group gatherings, and you could almost call them little mini festivals or spiritual observations, and it usually served the needs of a great many people, involved a lot of tote and carry and setup. He was always there. he was always happy to help. He had a goodness of heart that was where he sourced these offerings from, the showing up, the totem to carry, the kind word. He was always full of kind words at any of these gatherings that we worked together at, and it was a pleasure to be around and a pleasure to know. One of the things that I do remember of him that is uniquely him is his artwork. He did poetry, he wrote, and he painted. And many of you here may have seen these works that he did. And, you know, if everyone was a Rembrandt, only Rembrandt would do art. If everyone, if you had to be a Rembrandt to do art, we wouldn't have hardly any art. And to say that, to hold that professionalism in art takes what art is away from the heart of art. Joshua lived in the heart of art, because what art is about, and poetry is about, and writing is about, it is about the soul's journey. It's about we as who we are in the most intimate sense of that, how we are meeting the circumstances of our life, and how we're turning it and manifesting it. It's about being human. And he embraced that. He turned the gyrations and the wheels of that work of his spirituality, and he embraced living. Doing artwork and poetry is about how you embrace life. And he was an intensely spiritual man. And when someone passes away, my instinct is to say, well, what does this mean? What does it mean to walk this earth? And what do they mean to me? And when I look at Joshua and in his pursuit of art, it tells me that living and embracing living is why we're here. It is the art of living, the art of engaging in life. And he did that. And I think his artwork truly marks that. Now, one of the things that we do as a member of this group is we will choose a stone, and it's based off of a deck. And you know how he loved decks, he loved tarot, he loved messing around with the meaning of life, right? That was Josh. And so we each, upon entrance into the group, will choose a stone. And his was Larimar, and I'd like to read to you a little bit of what it says, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because he walked and taught this. Not everyone will have the talent of a great singer, but your voice can be even more powerful as a vehicle for freedom. And Larimar is the stone of freedom. Freedom of speech is a guarantee of the American tenets of democracy. Use your words to encourage others, to unlock the feelings of fear, anger, guilt, shame, and hate that imprisons them. Releasing these restricting emotions will free up spaces that can ultimately be filled with confidence, love, self-worth, and peace. Freedom is a decision. No person or circumstance can tie up your soul unless you allow it to happen. If you submit, you become an accessory to the crime. The shackles that you wear may have been placed there by another, but only you can remove them. No one else has the key to your prison. Freedom is not the unlocking of a cell door, it's the unlocking of the spirit. Joshua faced a number of challenges in his life. He had many joys. He was a beautiful person. person with a beautiful heart, and he faced many challenges. And there were times where he felt a great deal of pain. He faced his own feelings at times of inadequacy. We all can share that with him, because I would doubt there's a single person in this room who hasn't had those feelings, who hasn't been in a painful place in life, who hasn't felt isolated and alone in that place. But I will say that Joshua, at probably the height of painful time in his life, where he did feel isolated, he did not succumb to that. Ultimately, he reached forward, got the help that he needed, and he turned around and he came back to his principles of spirituality, and he made an online community. He offered his spiritual gifts of tarot and guidance in the best way that he knew how. And I think that for a soul's journey, that's a good one.
My name is Margaret, and my coven name is Serenity. And I too knew Josh from the Standing Stones. And I met him across the table at Mega's bookstore at the middle one, not the little tiny one across the street from the middle one, but the one that had the big stupid staircase. Both of us had back problems, and we had to lumber up and down the steps. And it was about 5 years before I officially joined the group, because I had some personal growth to do. But Josh was my friend through the entire time. I was a party light lady for a little bit, and he came to my coming out party, and he was like, I thought it was going to be more flamboyant. And I was like, no, it's just a party light party. But he came and participated in all the stupid games that I learned how to do as a party light lady, and did all the things, and got a party gift, and got home, and decided not to order anything, but that's fine. And then 5 years later, when I came back to the group, and I was embraced by him, every time I saw him, he had a big hug. I'm really fortunate in my life to be part of a recovery community. And a few years ago, I celebrated 20 years of recovery. And there was a key tag that Beth tried to give me a year before, and I totally humiliated her in public, and I'm terribly sorry about that. But Josh made a point to come to my special dinner that I had at Olive Garden, because that's where my family goes to I'll never have that opportunity to go, one more hug. One more, let's make it better. And I know that he will be wherever we go, whenever we go, wherever we go. He will have a hug for me. And a hug for everyone, because that's just who he is. But I will miss him dearly, and he is a very good friend of mine, and he still is. So thanks for letting me share. I got the chance to meet Josh back when Josh first started dating. She's like, I want you to meet my boyfriend. I'm like, is he gonna pass the test? She's like, okay, he'll pass the test. I'm like, I was a little skeptical, right? You know, I met some of her previous ones. I was more than skeptical. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give this guy a chance. She was so excited, like the energy, the excitement, you could just feel it radiating off of her. And I was like, okay, there has to be something to this guy, right? So I go, and it was working at a gas station, if I'm correct, at the time. And I met him, and my first impression of this man, he was a big dude, obviously, or a big guy. It was just big in it, but when he said hello to me, he just radiated just happiness. He just radiated it. And honestly, I don't think I've ever met someone who radiated that much love and friendliness than he did. Hands down. And I met him, we chatted, and it was time for sleep. I go, he'll do, And, that was, and since then, I had gotten a chance to get home, and I got to be part of the wedding, which was really fun at Minnehaha Falls, and that was an amazing experience. And the reception was fantastic. I got to know him a little bit more, and just, little bits and pieces of who he was. And then, Josh and Brett invited me to a Christmas event at a local church where I got to meet some of the people from the Standing Stones. And I'm like, I like these people. And I got to know Josh and Brett a little bit more. And I'm like, I might get to be, I want to check out these people, see what they're about. Because I knew that for so long, and I got to know Josh. I'm like, they love these people so much. I want to know, why do they love this group of random individuals so much? So I go there, and I got to meet these people. I'm like, that's a family. So all of a sudden, I started to get involved with the group. And it was because of you and Josh. You guys were my touchstone into this group. And watching him grow as I got to get more involved was amazing. His love for people. Didn't matter, you could meet him. The first minute you met him, he would give you that it's the Josh hug. Y'all know that hug. It's this amazing, engulfing love. And he would do that for anybody. Anybody you meet, you just wanted to show affection. And that was one of my favorite parts about him. He was an extremely gifted spiritual person. He had a lot of gifts in his life, and one of his specialties was palmistry. And if you could get him off in the corner, read your palm and give you some insights, and it was really fascinating. He was always searching knowledge, everything. He wanted to know. He wanted to understand the world. He wanted to understand people. That's why he would sit and he would look at you and have that conversation. He would just stare into your soul and want to understand you and be part of your life. But that's who he was. He was just this loving, amazing person. He was also really dirty-minded, but that's how he and we would joke around all the time. It was great. But that's how we
Now you know why
What's that?
now you know why I dated him.
I know. But it was just so much fun. I mean, and I think we used to have events where we'd have kids there, and watching him light up around those kids was an amazing, amazing experience. And those kids liked him, you know. He would draw people in. And that's the kind of thing that I remember, just that loving, beautiful soul of his that would just radiate to everybody that he met. And that is something that I hope that all of us at some point in our lives will get to that point where we feel that we can give as much as he has given to us. So, thank you very much.
Waiting for someone to take another drink. So, I met Beth first. I was the smart-ass dispatcher in public transit that could corral most of the drivers with just a word or two over the radio. And something just clicked between me and Beth. I mean, it was like instant sisters, almost. And at the time, I had no idea that Josh was her husband, or just how close we would grow to be. That was 2009.
2008.
That's right, because 2009 was my first group event. That would have been Easter of that year.
We'll start.
And I've been hanging around this group ever since. Kind of like a bad penny, but it's been just the same. I don't think I've ever felt quite as lost or as at sea as I was when you guys were forced to move down to Clearwater. That was a long, dark time. And I still remember the day you got back. After one of our mutual friends and I had spent like 3 weekends looking for a house that was just perfect for them. And as soon as I walked into the house that they're in now, I'm like, yep, this is home. And one of the things that cemented it was when we walked back outside, there was a green man hanging on the tree that somebody had left behind. And I'm like, yep, this is definitely their house. And it scared the life out of my other friend, because the day they got home, we literally were driving around the park, missing each other by seconds, trying to figure out where they are in relation to where we are. And we finally connected. And I scared the life out of our mutual friend, because before the car even stopped, I was out the door and running. I was out the door and running straight into my friends. We faced a lot of challenges together. And Tina spoke about his love of children and how they seemed attracted to him. And I know deep in his heart, as much as he wanted to be a father, he was terrified of that too. And the three of us, were close enough that we created a family together. And we suffered the loss of a child together. And I don't think anybody else in this room knows this, because we kept it so quiet. the amazing, amazing father he would have been. But I am so happy and jealous that he is with our child on the other side. A little jealous that he got to meet them first. A little worried about the tales he might be telling.
That's the bigger worry.
But it was an amazing experience, and Josh was such a unique individual, both in his temperament and his perspective on things. He never lost that childlike joy, ever. And that, I think, in many cases, is what sustained him through some of his hardest challenges. And I'm just so thankful that I got to be part of his life.
I first met Josh when I first came to the Coven of the Standing Stones. Josh was probably the most wholehearted person I've ever met. He wore his heart on his sleeve. Sometimes that got him hurt. He was one of the most durable people, in spite of all of the times he got hurt, that I think I may have ever met. He had a beautiful soul, and we knew this as part of the group because he showed it in a way that's very rare in this life. The paintings, the readings, all of the things he did really came from his soul. He gave everything he had to give. It wasn't merely the shirt on his back. It was everything that he had to give. He would do anything for you. One of the biggest frustrations that he faced was sometimes he couldn't do all of the things he wanted to do for others. And that's truly admirable. No matter how hard things got for Josh, he always wanted to be of service to others. What he really was as a kid at heart. He carried that childlike creativity, that joy, that inspiration with him, always. You could always see it shining through him, even when he was frustrated, even when it was difficult, even when it was hard for him. He always carried that with him, which I think is truly admirable. He sometimes had trouble accepting who he was in his mind, but in his heart, he was always proud of who he was. He always had great pride in himself, and he could always see the best in others. He could accept others, even when he had trouble accepting himself. Because of his struggles, he understood. He could see the beauty in people, even when they couldn't see it in himself. Even when the tree got twisted, even when the branches got bent, he could always see things that others simply could not see. And he was a very accepting man. And that sometimes got him hurt too. But he never stopped trying. No matter how hard it got, even at the end, he was always trying to be of service. And that is, I think, truly admirable. As Cheetah said, he was truly a very unique person. There just was not anybody else like Josh. In our family, he went by the name Unison. And he had that light but he was so unafraid to express himself. And I think that is truly a part of his legacy, is that self-expression, that willingness to free others. And now he's finally free.
I don't mean to hog the podium. But, you know, I do have a number of stories that I'd like to share about Josh, but I will pick one. And we'll just all have to talk later because this would take too long. But one story that I have that I think really tells what Joshua has in him, and has in him now even more. It is in the story of an inner group study. It's like a spiritual study group within the Standing Stones. And we started out that spiritual study group, and it was in my home is where we would gather. And it kind of took off and evolved. And then the idea was to move it around, right? Maybe, and spread out the participation and the setup for the different spiritual activities. And we moved it over to Josh and Beth's place. Now, this meant, and of course, I know he was very excited about that. And this meant that he needed, and Beth needed, to take on some of the preparation for the assignments, the activities that we did. Now, one of them, I'm going to explain this in terms that everybody here can understand. One of them had to do with engaging in and the development of spiritual energy. Now, to relate to that, you might think about when you enter a church and people have been praying, and there is reverence and the joining of intention and energy in the celebration of the divine. There is an energy that gathers, and you can feel it when you walk into a church. You can feel that, right? So one of the things we wanted to do is engage in the spiritual energies that surrounded us in the world, because we believe this is a place of divinity. This is how we approach the altar of the sacred. So they had a little room that they reserved for this. And the idea was maybe to set it up before anyone got there. And so that it would radiate and be filled with, say, the spirit of fluidity and depth and inspiration and intuition and things that you might associate with the way that water moves and what it's symbolic of. So they would juice this room up, right? With prayer or intent and whatever. And we all would do our thing, and then we were to go into the room. And we would do our meditation in that room. Okay, so we're all wondering, what is this going to be like, right? Because I did it myself before. Okay, so we open the door and we walk in, and it's like, whoosh. It was like being enveloped in, it's almost going into a different world. I don't know if you've ever been into a cathedral. Have you ever walked into a cathedral? And it's just shining with this brilliant spiritual aura, but that's what was fun. He had that in that, and then I know earlier we talked about his hugs, how you felt so held in love, but it's like it was extended to be in this room and you could walk into it, and it was amazing. And I wanted to share that story because it's something that many of us, or some of us, knew of him, and it highlights what a was and what he had inside of him and how he approached the altar of the sacred in his living.
Is there anybody else? I want to give everybody a chance here. Nope. Sorry. My balance is a bit crap.
So you gotta get rid of that titanium thing.
No way. It costs 25 grand.
The one you can take out for whatever.
Now, this is something, he wrote me his final letter. And he said, this is what I want to happen, and so forth, and a lot of personal stuff, as you can imagine. But he insisted on this next part, and this just goes to show you what kind of a goofball he truly was. He says, have the people raise their left hand and repeat after me. Hi, my name is.
Hi, my name is.
And I loved that silly man, and I will always celebrate him.
I love that silly man, and I will always celebrate him.
Wonderful. Remember, you're being recorded, so. Now, to start the closing, the Stones have a song called Freedom. And because Josh's stone was the stone of freedom, he loved the song. Absolutely loved the song. You would hear him sing a little bit louder. And for him, that's woofed up. Very loud. Now, wait. Oh, that's what I forgot. On the back of your program is something called the Lines of Freedom. And this is something he wrote and said, I want this to be read. The Lines of Freedom. The lifeline says, live, drink, and be merry, for my life was truly lived. From this line, I've learned to snuggle with your soulmate, drink with your true friends, dance with the women, play with the men, sing with the willow, and dream as much as you can. The love line says, it is better to have loved and lost than to never love at all. From this line, I've learned rainbows never end. Love is like oxygen. Songs always start with a hum. The voice of your lover's prayer before you go to sleep. A child's laugh and an old man's grin. Love is the hardest thing to do for yourself. And that's something that he struggled with. He had depression. He anxiety was always there. And because of that, he had trouble loving himself, because he saw this aspect of himself as being a negative or something that he didn't want that was part of him. He couldn't stand that. Now continuing on, the line of the mind says, we are dreamers of the dream. If you want to see paradise, simply look around and view it. So Minnesota in January is paradise. Something's messed up. From this line, I've learned that memories are the stuff dreams are made of. Sounds dance in the wind as a symphony of magic. I am who I am. Dream a little dream of me. Come fly with me, come fly away with me. The line of fate says, today is the best day ever because I will it to be, for today I am free. He lived that. He was free. His mind was clear. From this line, I have learned to take a leap of faith, to find my 5 paths, to be a warrior on the journey home. Sing a Sing a cornfield's melody, chant a willow's heaven song. Keep a blue sphere dream, find where rainbows never end. Embrace the ocean's eye, and lay in the tall grass with your one true love. Live free, my friends, he writes. The last line is of freedom. It crosses both hands when they're held in prayer and close to the divine. The line of freedom has shown me that every day was the best day ever. And he told everybody that he gave a reading to, whether it be palm or on the cards, he said, today you need to make this your best day ever. Even if you think something's going wrong, look at it from a different aspect. And today will be the best day ever. The line of freedom has shown me that every day was the best day ever. There's no stronger force than love and faith, or daring to trust in the Lord and Lady when magic happens. And he closes by saying, I look for the everyday magic and believe in my whole heart that I can change the world from hate to peace. That's all he wanted. He just wanted peace for all of us. Now it's time for the song called Freedom. All right. Do we want to start by clapping to get the tempo? What do you think?
I don't know. Anybody that's really good at singing? How much you like the dancing song? Start up.
Start it up. I can no more be bound than a hawk in white, and I am fire that burns in night, and I am shaking and waking up the earth, and I am the waters of the world.
Sure.
If anybody else wants a little bit of time, nobody? Well then, I will close with this benediction. And to the family, I don't think you knew, but when I left high school, I was thinking about becoming a youth pastor. And I studied religions as part of that. And I am an ordained minister now, so I feel very close to this benediction. And you might know it. It's in the Bible, in the book of Numbers. Now may the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you.